Now we're joined by Marcelo Etchebarne, one of the lawyers who worked on restructuring Argentina's debt. Thank you for joining us, Marcelo.
Thank you very much.
Now this is a very complicated case, and from Argentina's perspective, the bondholders, the hedge fund, that really is the majority of the bondholders, the ones that didn't go for the restructured bonds, are vultures taking advantage of Argentina's vulnerabilities. Do you agree with this?
Well, not really. I think they perform a service to the industry, because if you own a bond and you don't want to go through the hassle of litigating, you want to sell it and you want someone to buy it for you. So that part, you know, it's fine with me. What's not fine with me is the result of the case, but that's a different story. The
result of the case? What do you mean, how are you disappointed?
Well, I think Argentina should have won this if they would have fought this differently, maybe. The reason why Argentina lost this case is because in 2005, Argentina passed a law saying the bonds that are not going to participate on this exchange will never be paid. And actually, the executive branch, the president, cannot pay them out. And judges said, well, that's not right.
To basically say, we won't pay them at all.
Exactly.
That was the issue.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, in terms of this going to the Supreme Court, that's what Argentina would like to see happen. How likely is that?
I think it's unlikely for the Supreme Court to take the case. There is a partial appeal to Supreme Court before this last ruling. This last ruling had not been appealed to the court yet, but there is an en banc rehearing petition pending. And there is a chance that this same panel that ruled against Argentina, or the entire court, may find that now that Argentina had terminated the law that created the problem, well, maybe they are no longer violating the equal treatment provision, and therefore maybe the injunction shouldn't apply anymore. So there is a slight chance that Argentina may win this at the Court of Appeals level.
Okay, and what's interesting is that the judge in the appellate court here basically said that so long as Argentina doesn't pay these holdouts, they cannot then pay the bondholders of the restructured debt.
Correct.
And nor can they use the U.S. banks to repay that debt. Now, Kirchner is saying that she might pay them through Buenos Aires instead of through the United States. How would this impact things?
Well, first, it was a brilliant ruling. And the court was very careful, and I'm sure they had a really hard time drafting this, because they knew the consequences this may have. And they said the injunction only affects Argentina, no one else. So they're not saying that the banks are directly involved. They're saying, I'm sure this will be subject to further litigation. So if U.S. banks get involved in this, they may get sued by someone. But Argentina is saying at the same time, we're going to pay the people who participated in the exchange, but it seems that we'll have to pay them in Argentina. That's not that easy to be done.
So, I mean, Kirchner seems like she's really in a tight spot right now.
Well, Argentina is in a tight spot, because if you talk to opposition leaders in Argentina, they think the same.
So the chances of that $1.3 billion payout, they're pretty slim, correct?
Yeah.
You think Argentina's not going to pay it at all? And how are they going to get it done?
Well, I would say that with the current status quo, I don't see any chance for the government paying that, or even the opposition supporting a payment for that. Of course, if things change over the next year or so, different view may be taken by those politicians.
And so how hard is it for Argentina right now to raise debt? Because it got an S&P downgrade because of this court ruling, which of course makes it much more expensive for them to raise money. I mean, do you see it as a good, safe investment to invest in Argentinian bonds? I mean, it's a very high yielding right now, 15%, I think.
Well, you know, it's a very attractive yield.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Argentine debt to GDP, particularly the Argentine debt denominated in foreign currency to GDP, it's only 8%. So there is no reason why, in the long term, they're not going to be paying out for this. So if you get a bond that's yielding 15% and you keep it for 4 years before the default, well, you collected 60% of the bond already.
It's not bad. Thank you so much, Marcelo, for joining us. That was